Part 16. So I ended up walking home from the job interview in flats. No, like, I had no idea how to get home, but I figured it out. Um, and so because I was trying to get her to help me. I was like, okay, so I need you to teach me to drive. Since I don't have a job and you seem to have more time, I need you to teach me to drive so that I can get around and do all of this stuff. I can be a delivery driver for freaking Pizza Hut, and or I could go and work at the gas station because that's closer. And both of them were really close, and it wasn't that big of a deal. And she's like, oh, I don't want you to be a pizza delivery driver because they could always get robbed, and I don't want you working in a gas station. Mind you, I am 25. I'm 25, and she's telling me that she doesn't want me working pizza delivery. She doesn't want me working at a gas station because of how dangerous it could be. And I'm trying to get out of this place as soon as possible because I am sleeping on a blow up mattress in her room. She originally wanted me sleeping in her bed, but I was just like, I get it. Like, kids do that. And especially female children, even when they get older, they're comfortable doing that stuff. Not me. I like to have my own bed. I didn't even like sharing a bed with most of the people, that makes it sound like it was a lot of people. I didn't even like sharing a bed with some of the people that I did share a bed with. And I don't do that. I don't like sharing a bed. I have a weird thing about sharing a bed, especially with anybody. Like, after me and my sister stopped sharing a bed, I did not like sharing a bed with anybody, especially that I wasn't fucking. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. But if we weren't doing the do, I didn't want to sleep with you. And it goes beyond just that, but I don't really feel like explaining all of that right now. It's just a weird thing. Um, anyways, uh, moving on to that, yes, she kept trying to say, oh, well, you don't need to do this right now. And so I used what money I did have left over because I was going to plan on using that money to save to do something else. I used it to rework the room downstairs that had been absolutely destroyed. None of the rooms downstairs, including my old room, were suitable for living in. No carpet, no nothing. And so I bought carpet, I bought paint, I painted the room, I put the carpet in the room by my damn self, by the way. And I had to beg her to take me to freaking Menards to get the stuff. And I didn't have much. So I didn't have anything left over for my phone bill, but I needed space because I needed to heal out of the situation that I had just left. And I couldn't do that being surrounded by people. Not to mention, when you're sleeping in somebody else's room, it's their space. You can't control who comes in and out and how often they fucking wake you up. Not to mention all the cats. Because I think, was that around the time that the cat had all those kittens? Yeah, I think so. But one of the cats had a bunch of kittens, and they are loud. But either way, I needed space. I needed my own space. I needed to be able to shut the door and shut everyone else out so that I could just try to heal through all the shit that I went through. Maybe cry about it if I felt like crying about it, which I didn't because the situation was over before it was even really over. And so she just kept saying, oh, you don't need to find a job right now. You should take your time. And she kept doing that. And then I was forced to once again get out of her space by going into another situation similar to the first situation, because this way I could actually get a job, and I did. And I was walking, I was actually getting picked up by an unreliable friend of another person and been getting dropped off at work or somewhere so that I could get to work. And that's how I was getting to work until I moved out again. And then I ended up having to move back in because that situation obviously didn't pan out. And in the last time at me being an adult trying to get her, I was like, okay, so can you help me with the driving thing now? Because we had a whole argument about it, because she's like, oh, there was more to it than that, it was more than all of that shit. But the way I saw it from my perspective is that you had time to date, but you didn't have time to teach me to drive, to be independent of you. And she would often say throughout my entire life, from the time that I was itty bitty to the time that I was an adult, I ain't gonna be around forever. And I'm like, if you're not gonna be around forever, why not teach me the tools that I need to survive without you? And she seemed to absolutely refuse. Now, mind you, the only ones of us four that have our licenses are the youngest two. And I was planning on paying my mother rent when I was, there, so that she could just leave me alone and I wouldn't be expected to drop back into the fucking I gotta do everything freaking slave role. Because I had never actually paid her rent. I actually offered when I first got a job when I started in college, but it was a no. Because I didn't want to be in debt. I didn't want to be in fucking debt to her, because I was always in debt to her, because life. And so, yeah, we ended up butting heads the last time I lived with her too, because she's like, oh yeah, more went into like getting them their license. It was essential. I had to do that, or whatever the case is. So yeah, they got their license and then they had to pay her rent. And I think they kind of like resent me and my other sister, because they feel like, we just screwed up our lives and then ended up being moochers, and lo and behold, not realizing that half that shit is because of the trauma that we all went through. And yeah, that sucks. It fucking sucks. But yeah, she still refused to help me. And yeah, that was annoying. And she was still trying to control what job I was getting. At 30 years old, I had to move back in with her, and she was still trying to control what job. I went to multiple job interview after multiple job interview after multiple job interview. And mind you, I was lying to her about exactly how much I was going to be getting paid from these fucking jobs, because I knew what would happen if I would never move out. And I have 2 children that everybody is getting to the point where they can't stand them. And, favorites are being played, arguments are happening, and I can't fucking take it anymore. The room, the energy, everything was just too fucking heavy. And I was, again, sleeping on a blow-up mattress on the floor of her room with my 2 kids. Like, I was sharing the blow-up mattress with my daughter, and the other daughter was in her playpen. Like, this was a nightmarish fucking situation. And the other one was not being allowed to take a nap because nobody wanted to respect the boundary of just being quiet when I was trying to put her down for a nap. But, they'll sleep when they're supposed to sleep. No, they will be distracted. And nobody wanted to respect me as a parent or my child. So, and she was exhausted. She was so tired. She ended up throwing up one of those days. And I kept begging her to get the car seat out of her car that she left at a dealership for months. And she freaking refused. And I had to borrow one from my sister when I actually moved here, because she just wouldn't. Because I needed both the car seats so that, I could get around without her if I needed to. And yeah, she was trying to force me to work at McDonald's, and I was applying for jobs that paid more than McDonald's, because I am, 30 years old, and I don't want to have to fucking work at McDonald's, because I hate the smell of McDonald's and I don't eat McDonald's. I fucking hated it. And I actually had stopped eating fast food and all manner of pork, and kind of cut back on eating meat in general before I had moved in. But, essential nutrients. So I had to go back to doing all of that stuff. But yeah, she literally tried to control what job I was getting at this big old age. And something told me not to do it, because if I did, I would be stuck.